Good evening. I'm wearing my I Am Black History t-shirt that I picked up in Los Angeles a couple of years ago. And I recognize that I am a part of the history process. Who I am and my identity is a product of change. Prior to this class, I was unsure of a lot of misinterpretations and meta messages that I had received as a child. I was born in the 50s. I was an adolescent of the 60s, a teen of the 70s, and an ever maturing adult of the 80s into the 21st century. My name is Gary, and I'm a product of the continuous cultural shifts from that turbulent 60s time to the information overload of the 21st century. I have been constructing my identity for over 60 years. And it's amazing to see the multidimensionality of self spoken of by Stewart in 2012. Communication is fluent and ever changing my identity. For years, I saw my life filled with walls, with few bridges. You see, culture, ethnicity, gender, social class were the primary features of communication and were the sum total of my experiences. It seemed as if interpersonal communication was at a prime, as well as the lack of an empathetic ear toward my cause on this journey. Communication continues even when we are silent, through nonverbal gestures, expressions, and attitudes. With each conversation, dialogue, and confrontation, my identity was being shaped through segregation, racism, classism, discrimination, poverty, and in spite of my prosperous gains, they all have helped to shape my identity. When you understand that communication is continuous and collaborative, you will recognize the potential value of what you do next. Why? Because no one person determines all the outcomes of a communication event. You can help determine some outcomes even if you feel almost powerless. I thought that was a powerful quote from Stewart. Communication is a sum total of who I am and will be the legacy that I will one day leave for my family to follow. I'm journaling all the time. My goal is to share the depths of the communication process as well as learn how to be effective with helping others experience their uniqueness through being effective communicators. Identity of self is made up of interlocking features that mark how persons behave, respond to others. Identities are constellations of labels that establish social expectations that we have of ourselves and others, according to Stewart. We have built walls of separation within this massive superhighway that we have today. And my goal is to help rebuild bridges through interpersonal communication. You see, after reading Carbonell and taking the assessment test, I discovered that my personality type is one that carries with it the weight of expectation of others. This personality type carries with it determination and inspiration as two of the expectations. You tend to think people expect you to tackle difficult tasks by gathering help from others, and I work at that. You seem to feel that you're counted on to motivate others to get involved. You don't tend to take no for an answer. You think people expect you to be aggressive and assertive through your willpower and your communication skills. That was me to the T when I read Carbonell 2008. I have had to fight for everything that I have, including the freedoms that we have as an American. I served 26 years in the military with two major overseas tours to include Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. In the 60s, I fought for the right of equality within the school system. Segregation was a way of life, but it wasn't the sum total of my life. Therefore, I have stood my ground and attempted to inspire and motivate others. I was called upon to enter the schools in the 1990s and address students about healthy decisions. Don't do drugs. Stay away from gangs. Remain free of unnecessary weights and burden. I spoke without listening, though. And I touched lives, but missed opportunities to effectively change life through interpersonal communication and having an empathetic listening ear. Because the communication process continues to flow and change, there is a need for my communication style to be continuously changing to meet the needs of those that I am working with and to never miss another opportunity to be an effective communicator. It's important to discuss the past to help clarify the things that have made you who you are, but it's impossible to go back. The communication barriers that I've encountered, the most significant interpersonal communication barrier and issue that I have discovered throughout this course is inhaling. Inhaling is the ability to receive the continuous complex flow of verbal and nonverbal expressions while filtering it through culture and gender. It's the beginning process of the continuous flow of communication, according to Stewart. Inhaling is the ability to receive what is being shared, and this ability is framed in the listening process. It's the ability of sharing information and connecting with others. Also within this process is our capability of listening at two levels. Level 1 speaks of general information, and level 2 is a deeper, more meaningful and satisfying experience, according to Peterson, 2015. Most of my adolescent and teen years were filled in the flat brain syndrome, with my stomach being overloaded. My life was a roller coaster of emotions filled with bitterness and hatred because of the bigotry and disrespect of my race that I had seen and personally experienced. Because of this experience, I was unable to hear very well at level 2 and was quick to have snap judgments at level 1. When the stomach bulges, they squeeze the heart functions up into the chest cavity. We cease to be open to other people or to varied options, and our ability to cooperate vanish, according to Peterson. I lived there for years until one day I had an encounter with Jesus. I stopped being conformed to the pattern of this world and asked God to transform me by the renewing of my mind, that's spoken of in Romans chapter 12, verse 2. I heard God say, be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger, according to James 1:19. Inhaling and listening had been my greatest challenge, and God freed me to forgive and to exhale in love. Today, I'm a work in progress as my new nature or identity have begun to replay many of the interpersonal conversations that I had with my mama, my friends, and my peers. And I realize even more that communication is fluent and continuous. The resources and strategies that I've acquired from this class is one of the primary solutions that have helped and will continue to help me to overcome the barriers discussed is my relationship with Jesus Christ. For God so loved Gary that he gave his only begotten son, John 3:16. You put your name in there if you want. The second strategy that I have available is studying and applying effective listening skills. Effective listening involves not only tuning in to others, but tuning in to ourselves. Listening carefully to what we say and how we say it can teach us an immense amount about ourselves, according to Burley Allen, 1995. The third strategy that I have available to help to continue to shape my identity is by recognizing that we all are different with different personality patterns. It is a challenge to submit to leadership styles that are different than mine. It has been made clear to me, though, that everybody's vision and passion will not be the same as my vision and passion. Lastly, how I feel and think has been molded based upon my life experiences, and everyone have their own life experiences. That's according to Carbonell. The fourth strategy that I have gleaned is to understand the continuous nature of nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is pervasive and complex, which can continue to provide meaning long after the conversation has ended. Doing nothing can speak volumes to conversation that may need structure or solution, according to Wallace, 2009. In the movie Fireproof, everything the husband attempted to do to win the heart of his wife brought more frustration. Her nonverbal acts included her demeanor, her facial expressions, and simply walking past him as if he wasn't there. One was half-hearted in his commitment while the other was determined to end their marriage. Nonverbal communication spoke loudly throughout that movie. The fifth and final strategy that I have learned is the need to forgive. There is a need to make a decision to forgive despite how your emotions may be running. Dr. Tim Clinton explains decisional forgiveness in this manner. Decisional forgiveness does not deal with emotion. It reflects a preference where conscientious-based virtues are highly valued. That's in Clinton, 2005. This is a choice from the heart and not based on emotions. The action plan that I have set for myself, one technique I will continue to practice is removing all distractions when I am conversing with someone. If what I'm doing is too important to stop, I will explain this, and at the first optimal time, I will revisit the conversation to allow the person that approached me to understand he or she is valuable. And I really do want to hear what they have to say. The second technique I will practice is total eye contact while providing nonverbal actions such as nodding or making sounds to ensure that I am present in the conversation. And thirdly, I will utilize the restating process to ensure the talker and that I have heard him or her. The fourth techniques that I will use in my developmental process is the willingness to be transparent and open to the talker/listener. It's better to tell someone that you are unavailable to listen than to give a half-hearted attempt at being in an interpersonal conversation. Remember, nonverbal actions will rear its ugly head when we're trying to fake being real. In my conclusion, who I am, my identity truly is a product of change. I'm reminded if I have been raised with Christ, I am to aim at and seek the things that are above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God, and to set my mind on what's above, according to Colossians 3:1-2. Interpersonal conversation is a tool that will continue to help shape my identity. As I set my mind on the higher aspects of life, change is change when we truly have change. Thank you so much for teaching me all that you taught me in this class, and I certainly hope, as my legacy is written, that you will be proud to have been a part of it. Thank you very much.